Good morning, everyone. This is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. Well, today I have decided I'm going to make some more homemade pasta. And of course, the first thing I want to do is clear off the work area because I need as much space as I can get without being distracted with things in my way. So I'm going to get this all cleared off and I'll get back to you. Okay, well, it isn't totally cleared off, but mostly, so I've given myself lots of room here. And one of the reasons I'm redoing this video, and I've done a pasta video a number of times in the past, but I have a habit of not using any recipe, and I think this time I'm going to try to count and come up with numbers for people that absolutely want recipes. So here we go. Okay, I have my 2 ingredients ready, which is half a dozen eggs and flour. And I keep my flour in a half-gallon jar for convenience sake. And I'm going to have to use a half-cup measurement because that's the only thing that fits conveniently in this jar. So let's do this and see if I can come up with measurements. As I said, I normally just pour this out and use that. So that's 1.5 cups, 2 cups. I think I'm going to go with 3 cups of flour. Okay, so that's 3 cups. Yeah, that'll do. I think that's my recipe there. Now I'm going to obviously be using flour throughout this process, so I'm going to keep it on hand. And now I'm going to get a dish and break all my eggs into one dish before I pour it into this cavity that I have created here. So we're creating a cavity and breaking the eggs into a dish first. Oops, just got a little bit of shell in there. I'll worry about that in a second. So I'm using 6 eggs. There we go. And they all look perfectly fine to me. Now the 2 tools that I tend to use here is a fork and a pastry cutter, I guess. So first we're going to just kind of break these eggs. No, I don't have to. I can just pour them directly into this cavity here. There we go. So I've got my eggs in there, break them up, and start slowly mixing the flour in, incorporating it from the edge. And we do this trying not to let it spill out. If it does, it does, but basically we're just trying to incorporate it slowly. So I've started off with 3 cups of flour. I may need more. I will deal with that when I've got this more or less mixed up. Looking good. Now I do want a firm dough. I don't want it soft. It's coming together nicely. And I think now's the time I have to get my hands in here. Yeah, she's still runny. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to add another ½ cup of flour to this because it's still too moist for my liking. And I don't want to contaminate the container of flour, so I'm going to wash my hands first. Okay, so another ½ cup. That would make it 3½ cups. Once again, could be more than that, so I'm going to just use one hand temporarily now, in case I need to add more. No, I think we're doing good. Okay. So now we just incorporate this all, knead it until it's one firm ball of dough. And of course, this is the hardest part for me because I've never had an awful lot of strength in my hands. Not like my grandma. Not the hands, the arms. Okay, perfect. I think, yes, that is the right consistency. Now, if you find that it's too dry, certainly adding drops of water, not much, just like sprinkled, will get it to the consistency you need. But so far, I'm not unhappy with this. It is a bit on the dry side, but that is the way I like it. Okay, so I'm going to knead this for until it's all nice and moistened, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, and it turns out this is just slightly too dry for my taste, so I'm going to just spritz it just a tiny bit. Okay, that's it. And see how well that works for me. Oh yes. Better. And the spritzing, it allows the water not to be in one spot and having to work that in. Okay, that's perfect actually. So I'm just going to knead this for a few minutes and then we will cover it up and let it rest for half an hour, 40 minutes. Yes, I'm liking the feel of this. So we're getting a nice ball of dough. There's only quite nicely. So that was 3½ cups of flour, 6 eggs, and a tiny spritz of water. Okay, that is good to go. So at this point, I'm going to just cover this up and tidy up everything here, and we'll come back in a while. And you just cover it up to keep it moist. Okay, one of the tools that I'll be using is my pasta rollers that work on my KitchenAid. Now I also have the manual Marcato system, and that works perfectly well too. I've used that for eons. But today I'll be using my 3-piece set of Acme pasta cutters, rollers. So I have one that cuts them into sheets, which is good for making lasagna, and then I have 2 different sizes for pasta. I think one is fettuccine. I call it linguine, but it is fettuccine, I believe, and then of course the spaghetti. So I'll probably be using all 3 of them today. So I've got that all set up and ready, and we'll just wait till the dough has had a few more minutes to rest. Okay, I'm ready to start turning this ball of dough into pasta. So, and yes, it is very firm, but that is the way I like it. And the reason for that is either you make it firm to start off with, or you'll be adding a ton of flour because you'll find it's too soft. And you really don't want pasta that is totally soft. I mean, homemade pasta is pretty soft as it is anyway. So, first thing, cut this into sizable pieces, and definitely this is nice and firm. See? And nicely mixed up. Okay, so I've got pieces sizable enough that they'll fit through my machine without bogging down. Now, I don't want to have to add a ton of flour. Hopefully I won't have to. But the first thing we're going to do is run it through the flat thing that turns them into a sheet. And we're going to just continuously run this through until we've got nice flat sheets. So I may need just a slight bit of flour so things don't stick. So what I'm going to do is just rub some flour on my board here. And that's just to prevent everything from sticking and no more. Okay. There we go. Okay, we're all ready. And we start off with the widest setting, the most open setting. Okay, so I've got them through once now. That's nowhere near adequate, just so that you're aware. But at this point, once again, I'm just going to add a tiny bit of flour, only to prevent sticking. We don't want to get carried away with too much flour, but I'm finding it slightly sticky going through the rollers, and we want them to go through nice and easily. So, but this is minimal. This is not a lot of flour, and this is what I want. Okay. Now we're going to start passing this through a few times. I'm going to put two of these together. And you flour's needed. I want you sticking a little, so I'm adding more flour. Well, I don't want this to stick. And now I start to tighten this. Okay, a little too moist again, okay? Or perhaps just a little too dry. Perfect, okay. I'm going to cut this off. And I'm going to cut this into slices here. Approximately a foot long, well, okay. And just so that I could lay them one on top of the other, I'm flouring in between them for the time being and putting them aside. And going to the next bunch. Okay, here we go now. Let's start off with the lightest. Now, if I hadn't spritzed that, I wouldn't have had to use near the amount of flour that I've used. So I guess I should have been a little more patient there. It all works out the same. It's just would have been less of a mess, I suppose. Okay. Okay, first step is all done. Now we turn this into pasta. So we remove this roller and we decide which one we want. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the fettuccine roller. And the other thing I'm going to do is flour a few of these so I can do a few right away without having them stick. That one looks fine. This side. Yeah, definitely should not have spritzed, but I guess I was just impatient. Okay, we're going to start off like this. And no, I never add salt on these while we're making them. I add them afterwards when we cook them. It's just the way we've always done it. We add salt to the water when we cook. Now, I like to add the flour here so that they do not stick when you've cut them. We don't want a pile of stuck noodles. Okay, we're ready to go again. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets left. I'm going to do some beets, okay? Okay, this side. And done once again for the day. Okay, I'm going to suggest that that is 2 meals. One, you know, we're trying not to have huge amounts of huge meals, so I've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meals for Mark and I as far as I'm concerned, but of course it's not just pasta. Pasta is just a small side dish. With that we have some kind of meat and a salad on the side. So that should make a hearty meal. And at this point all I've got left to do is freeze these little bundles. And once they're frozen I'm going to freeze them like this on these trays, and once they're frozen I will bag them up and put them away. So that's it for today. Hope you found this interesting, and yes, I should have just let the dough sit a little more and not bother to spritz it, and it would have been a lot cleaner, but it all works. It all works. Okay, have a good day.